Today we're going to be doing this effect where we reach through a portal and grab something from the other side. We start out with a handheld shot that was filmed at the location inside the portal. What makes the effect both difficult and impressive is that the camera is moving towards and away from the portal. You could achieve a similar effect where you pull something out of a portal with a static camera, but the parallax of this effect is what makes it so good. The other shot we use is just a static shot of the location on our side of the portal. It helps to have this wall here because we won't be able to simulate parallax with this piece of footage. It's just going to be a static image. So to do an effect like this, we need to track the camera motion of the first shot. And we can do this using Mocha Pro. Since the camera is moving in and out, it means we're dealing with a parallax shot. To solve the camera motion of a parallax shot, we need to track two different parts of the shot that exist at two different depths. In this case, it worked well for me to track the cabinet edge and this protein bin here. Using these two tracks, Mocha Pro can compare how much of each of them move, and then use that information to triangulate a virtual camera position, where our virtual camera moves the same way that our actual camera moved when we originally filmed this. Once our tracking is done, we can hit this Solve Camera button, and then copy the data and paste it into our composition. As a side note, you're going to need the Mocha Pro importer plugin to be able to copy and paste this info. This is going to give us some null objects for our tracks, as well as the virtual camera I was talking about. And as we scroll through it, we can see that the Z coordinate of the camera is moving. This is really important because it means we can use 3D layers in our composition, and those layers are going to move in 3D space relative to our camera motion. So if we add our static background footage to the composition and set it as a 3D layer, we can see that it moves as we expect. But right now, this layer isn't in the right Z coordinate location. Now, it's not easy to tell what Z coordinate value is going to put this where we want it, but we do have these null objects that were created by Mocha Pro, and they have a Z coordinate set that we can use as a reference. In this case, we know that this background should be further back than the cupboard itself and further back than the protein tub. So let's put it at a value that's higher than both of those for the null objects that correspond to those. Of course, when we push it back, it's going to get smaller. So we also have to scale it back up so that it's the size that we're looking for. This looks pretty good. Now the portal itself is kind of just like a hole in this background image, but we can't just cut a hole in the background layer because the portal is supposed to be closer to the camera than the background is. So to cut out this hole, we'll create a solid with a circular mask and position this solid closer to the camera, probably somewhere around the Z coordinate of the cabinet. Then using an alpha inverted matte, we make it so that the black layer cuts a hole in the background where that solid was. This gives us the main effect of the motion tracked portal itself. Next, we have to rotoscope out the arm so that we can place it over the background layer for the whole shot. I use the roto brush tool to do this, and we want it to be a pretty good roto because it's going to appear pretty clearly over top of the background layer. Then to stylize this portal, we can use a duplicate of the black circle layer and then the Video Copilot Saber effect and set the layer to core masks. Then we can set our saber to however we want our portal to look. In this case, I went with a sort of purple effect using one of these presets. Now, as some finishing touches to style this, we want to make the lighting as natural as we can. The portal is quite bright, and anytime a bright light shines behind an object, we sort of get this encroaching glow on the edges of the object itself. And so we can simulate this by using a slightly choked version of the arm footage, and then another copy of the saber effect that goes over top of the bottom arm, but underneath the choked top arm layer. This lets a little bit more light bleed over the arm itself on those bright areas. Also, since we're reaching through the portal into a location that has different lighting than our original location, we can pre-compose our arm layer and then apply an adjustment layer that alters the exposure of the arm in different places as it reaches through. We sort of have to estimate how the shadows would be cast here, but this adds another subtle layer of realism to the effect. And once we put that all together, we have this 3D tracked portal effect.